Hello and welcome again to another one of our book discussions hosted by Gerak Budaya. Today we are going to talk about the concept of a Malay hero in Malay society by Shaharuddin Maarof that was first published in 1984, a very Orwellian year, and which has been republished by the Strategic Information and Research Development Centre affiliated to Gerak Budaya. This book at its time was both a timely intervention and in many ways provocative because it sought to examine not simply the concept of the hero in traditional Malay society, but also how hero worship emerges. Now, those of you who might be familiar with this work will be aware of the fact that what the author, Shaharuddin Maarof, does is he goes through the writings of several prominent Malaysian intellectuals and writers, and he attempts an analysis, a discursive analysis of how these authors and thinkers have understood and framed the hero in certain classical texts and historical texts. Now, the purpose of the book is not simply to talk about the hero, the figure of the hero in traditional Malay society, but crucially to understand how hero worship and adoration of heroes emerges in a context of an Asian society. Now, the important link that we find in this book is the link between social norms and social structures, because as the author points out, the understanding of the hero and what constitutes heroism in any society requires there to be a kind of groundswell of opinion, a consensus among the members of the public who already agree upon what constitutes heroism. So it's an interesting and an important work because it reminds us again that we cannot simply study social norms without looking at social structures. And this includes, normative structures, institutional structures, structures of political economy, and what have you. The book takes a very critical approach in trying to dissect the manner in which a particular understanding of heroism has developed in society, and he traces this to the residual elements of feudal thinking and a feudal mindset that sustains and legitimizes and rationalizes this acceptance of a concept, a certain interpretation, a certain concept of heroism in the context of the community that he looks at. Now, of course, this intuitively would make sense to social scientists. For instance, one can imagine a society where the game of football does not exist. And in a society where people do not play football, or football is not regarded as something serious or important, then football players will not be regarded as celebrities or stars to be admired and valorized all the time. So the connection here that Shaharuddin Maarof draws is a very important one, that what sustains the idea of a hero are the social norms and the normative praxis that have been established in any society. Now, if those social norms are conservative or feudal in nature, then it would not be surprising that the ideas and the values that are valorized in that society will reflect these cultural inclinations or biases as well. The book, I believe, deserves a wider reading, and we are very thankful for the fact that it has been republished now into its second printing. And I think it is a book that is relevant not only to Malaysians, but to many other societies. The author, of course, is very humble in his claims. He states in the beginning of the work that this is a micro-study that looks at one particular community, one particular ethnic community, and that he makes no universal claims. However, I would argue that Shaharuddin Maarof's concept of hero in Malay society is very relevant for the time that we live in today. living as we do in the age of social media, living in the age of online influencers and online celebrities, and of course, all over the world, we see the rise of populist politics, where charismatic politicians have come to the forefront, attempting to play the role of hero. Even though Shaharuddin Maarof does not make any major universal claims here, he doesn't claim that this particular study might be exactly comparable to studies of other societies. I, for one, happen to think that this is a wonderful book for us to read when looking at the phenomenon of populist politics in the West, and in particular in America. What I would love to do is to engage in a discussion about how the rise of Trump in the United States reflects many of the concerns that Shaharuddin Maarof raises in this book, how someone like Trump could now ascend the ladder of political power to assume the presidency of the United States, and what this tells us about American society today. I mean, how is it that a society such as America, a developed country that is perhaps one of the richest economies of the world, could give rise to the kind of populist, emotional, sometimes irrational domestic politics that we see today, and how someone like Trump could actually come to power, to assume power in America today. There have always been Trumps in American politics, but why is this happening now? Is it the combination of social media, populism, the decline of faith in public institutions, or constitutionalism that has actually opened the way for the rise of populist demagogues? In this sense, even though Shaharuddin is humble in his claims, I believe that this book can actually serve as a comparative text. It gives us a basis of making comparisons between politics in Malaysia and politics in many other Southeast Asian countries, and also politics in the Western world, in the developed world today. And so I hope that you will take the time to actually revisit what I think is one of the most important books that to have emerged from this part of the world over the last few decades, and we're very thankful that this is once again in circulation to be read and appreciated and analyzed by a new generation of young scholars. Gerak Budaya is proud to announce that it is now going to start its own series of Southeast Asian studies. And with this announcement, we are also making a call, an appeal for manuscripts, looking for manuscripts that are new, that are original, and that are Southeast Asian in focus, and hopefully also academic in nature, because the aim is to create a series that will study Southeast Asia in a very academic way.